7 extraordinary children born under extraordinary circumstances. Surely no one will attempt to exploit or experiment on children, right? Welcome to the Umbrella Academy, the school and home to the adoptive Hargreaves siblings. Secrets and intrigue lie in the dark and deceptive past of this home. And wouldn't we love to know what they are? Welcome back to Effing It Up. Welcome back, fair listeners. Here we are in our new digs, my new apartment. We have a new studio, a new look, but the exact same vibe. Because
couple extra ghosts.
One of them will be Laurel soon. Depends on how many times she interrupts me during this episode. Laurel.
Yes, Maya.
Happy Thursday.
Is that what day it is?
Yeah.
Time is meaningless. Maya, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you are an eccentric billionaire.
Go on.
And you view children as objects to be used.
Obviously.
You discover that a few of them are born under extremely unusual circumstances, and you decide to buy as many of them as you can.
Yes, this seems reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. So you buy 7 of them. Adopt is not the right word. Buy is more appropriate.
Yes.
What do you name the school that you form with these children in them? I want you to think like
what I would name
a quirky old man who hates children.
There's a joke I thought of.
Let's hear it.
Nope, can't say that one. That one's not good.
Uh-oh.
That can't do that. I don't know. I couldn't.
I know.
It's like the Magnificent Seven or something, or
yeah, very Marvel.
Something like something dumb or like.
Dumb. The Umbrella Academy does have a nice ring to it.
It does. It really rolls off the tongue.
I don't really know what the significance of the umbrella is, but
yeah, I have.
That's cool.
No idea. But on that note,
yes.
Clearly, we were talking about the Umbrella Academy, and this is my first time seeing any of the show whatsoever. So I just straight up started with the pilot, the way God intended.
Not a show you would want to jump into the middle of.
Yes, no, I'm glad I started with the pilot. But before Laurel and I do our little dive further into this, I'm gonna just read off a really quick summary just in case you didn't get the gist from us talking about this. So this is just a summary that I believe I pulled right from like the Wikipedia or one of like the websites. It's not properly credited, but if you recognize this, it's yours and I'm not pretending it's mine. Yay! Years after they rose to fame as young crime-fighting superheroes, the estranged Hargreaves siblings come together to mark their father's death. Do you think that accurately describes
absolutely
the pilot episode?
Estranged and strange.
Yeah.
So you've never seen any of the show before, and now you've seen the pilot. I have seen the whole series, including the newest one that just dropped on Netflix. One of my favorite shows of all time, probably. That
Laurel showing her cards early.
I know. That pilot episode, the first time I saw it though, I was just so captivated with, I was like, this is so weird. I love the absurdism of it.
I will be honest, I started watching it and I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
I think it's weird, and then you end up with some guy taking out the garbage on the moon, and you're like, oh,
it's that kind of weird.
Really
like
weird.
It's really squirrely.
And then you have kids gruesomely murdering bank robbers, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's irreverent too.
On some levels, if I'm gonna compare it to anything, it's very similar in tonality to a series of unfortunate events, which I do really like.
Mm-hmm.
So
it reminds me a bit of that show that I can't think of the name of. It was based on a Douglas Adams book. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Holistic Detective Agency. Do you know what I'm talking about?
it sounds vaguely familiar, but
That's
I
fine.
don't. Laurel just says nonsense a lot.
I do.
So
I just lie to Maya all the time and see if she can tell.
it's true. I've just been in a constant state of being gaslit for the past, 5 years of our friendship?
Holy cannoli, man. We're old.
Not old.
It's been about 5 years, probably.
We're ripening. An alternate title for this episode is "How uncomfortable can I make Laurel over the course of an hour while we record?"
All right, let's get this over with. Would you like to talk more about plot?
I do. I have a couple notes,
Mm-hmm.
and these are just my initial feelings. It's not a reflection of how I feel about the show in general, so don't be scared. But I did find the plot of the first episode to be a little lacking.
Oh.
So I realized that they have an entire ensemble of characters to set up, which is a pretty difficult and daunting task.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wished, as I was watching it, I wished they baited us with the mystery of what happened to the dad a little more. Like, that was kind of like an underlying theme, but it was battling with all of the other elements of well, we hate him. And someone's like, well, I think he died. But
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to be reeled in more with the mystery. I felt like it was very character driven, which again, an ensemble cast, I completely understand. But I'm
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I wasn't as intrigued as I wanted to be. And I'm sorry.
I am cut to the core.
Are you going to be okay?
I might cry. No, I get what you're saying. It is almost more of a family drama, like a dysfunctional family drama with superpowers.
Yes.
And, I mean, there are 2 pretty decent fight scenes, but other than that, it's not, really an action. They're not running from action scene to action scene or, uncovering clues in episode 1, really.
Yeah.
In fact, I think there's only, 1 clue in episode 1, and that comes at the very end, so...
Yeah. Which it's a bold move when you're currently in the process of setting up characters to make the family drama the forefront of the episode, when it's other people coming back and watching this who have seen the show know who the characters are. I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, this is my first introduction to anybody. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about everybody. And
Yeah, there's a lot, too.
yeah. And layering the family drama that heavily instead of giving me a little bit of a stronger plot to follow along with was, again, just not saying it's a bad move, it's just a bold move.
You're valid. See, I think after seeing the last season, I'm going to take any criticism you say of the Umbrella Academy much more calmly, because the last season kind of calmed my fervor for the show a little bit.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, you've seen some of the...
I've heard a little bit of angst about...
A little things, yeah, that's how I feel. So, I wouldn't say it's a perfect show.
But we can keep talking about it. On that note, shall we jump into characters? Or
Yes,
do you
please.
have anything you would like to say about the plot?
Nope, I just want to talk about Kate.
Okay, then.
Basically, that's all I want to talk about at all today.
Shall we start with Luther?
Yes, because he's number 1.
Yes.
Because good old Mr. Hargreaves didn't bother to name his children.
Didn't bother to name them.
Original.
I did say my initial perception of Luther was, oh, he's the only one who's a daddy's boy.
Uh-huh.
Which is just... I was like...
Well, he's number 1 for a reason.
I was like, bestie, we have some trauma we haven't unpacked or come to terms with yet.
If you keep watching the show, you're going to discover there's so much more wrong with Luther.
I was like, oh, sweetheart, this is bad.
Would you like a spoiler? Are you going to keep watching the show?
No.
Can I... He and Allison have a little, romance kind of
Oh,
thing.
I did hear
Isn't
about
that
that.
so disturbing?
Oh.
Yeah. Luther's funny. He's the only one who's, taking any of it seriously. He's trying to be, in charge, but no one cares what he has to say.
Yes.
He's kind of annoying in season 1 but later on, he's one of my favorite characters.
I do appreciate the contrast of kind of like his calmness with some of the other characters. Like, as the like physically biggest one out of the group, like he also doesn't have like, he doesn't give off like a ton of machismo.
Yeah.
Which is like interesting.
You could kind of look at the whole show as an exploration of what happens to the children of emotionally abusive parents when they grow up.
Yeah.
And so each of the Hargreaves kind of dealt with their father's neglect and, mistreatment in their own ways.
I wish that was the log line for the show. That would have made me so much more invested in everything that was happening.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Poor Luther. He's still trying to impress his dad, even though his dad's dead.
Poor all of these.
Poor
kids.
I know.
But so speaking of which, shall we talk about Diego?
Yeah, Diego, number 2. Did you number all of them?
I did not number them. I just tried to grab them in the order they appeared.
Very good. Oh, very good. Well, Diego's number 2. So.
Yeah. Initially, I was like, all right. Any kind of Diego slander that there is floating around, I'm here for it. I was like, I hate this guy. But by the end of the episode, I was like, you know what? Never mind. He's the only one who's saying the inside thoughts on the outside. He's the only one who's saying it out loud. I get it.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus also says, but his thoughts aren't as relevant always.
Yeah.
I love Diego. I forgot how much of a jerk he is in the first episode.
He's not a happy man.
He's so mean to
Vanya,
yeah. And I get it. I'd be annoyed too if one of my siblings wrote a tell-all memoir about me and my family. But
it would be Jelena.
I would read that memoir though.
I think it'd be good.
Jelena, if you write a tell-all memoir about our family,
it would be a bestseller.
It would be a bestseller for sure. I don't actually have too much to say about Diego in episode 1 because he gets more interesting, I think, as the show goes on.
Yeah.
But in episode 1, he's just kind of there being a jerk.
Speaking of people who are just kind of there.
Yeah.
Allison.
Oh my word, yeah. She's a little underutilized as well.
I kind of was waiting to learn more about her in the first episode. And again, I'm not gonna hold it against the show too much because again, a huge ensemble to set up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is interesting that one of the few female characters
I know.
was
suspicious.
Was kind of just like, oh, she's pretty and supportive of her siblings and is the only one being kind. And those are the character traits currently.
Yeah. I think Allison, out of all the characters, is treated the worst by the show. She, unfortunately, is probably my least favorite of the siblings just because of the way the show uses her.
Yeah.
I think the actress is delightful.
Yeah.
Her performance as Allison, I'm very charismatic. But
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the show is definitely a little male-centric in their portrayal of the characters.
Yeah. I was like, wait, the only woman of color character so far, one of the few female characters is underutilized and doesn't have much of a personality.
And and she's just there to
offer support to the other siblings.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't have to. Yeah. We don't have to get into that again. No, it's not a Joss Whedon episode. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. Shall we talk about Klaus?
Yes, please.
I said crackhead energy. Literally.
I was gonna say literally.
Literally. This man is a drug addict.
Why did they make it look so fun though?
I know. I was like, why is your drug addict the most interesting character? The most interesting and entertaining and the only one who's having any fun?
Literally every line of dialogue with Klaus, every single scene with him in it is just so entertaining.
Comedy gold. I'm like, he just keeps talking. He's just yapping. Just deep, 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 deep.
And I want him to keep yapping.
Keep on yapping, buddy.
The way they introduce him and he's leaving rehab and the guy's like, see you soon, Klaus. Mm-hmm. And he's like, stay sober. And then in the next scene with Klaus, we see him waking up in the ambulance. And he's like, brought back to consciousness by the paramedic, and he's like, and he sits up and he high fives the paramedic. I died. I was like, from that very moment, Klaus had my whole heart.
I did watch it, and I was like, this is probably going to be Laurel's favorite character.
There is one character who just so slightly edges him out as my top favorite character.
Yeah, I already know who that is.
Do you?
Yeah. I'm already well aware which one it is.
How do you know?
I know you pretty well. Sorry. Let me guess. It's 5.
Yes. How did you know?
Again.
That's definitely 5.
I know you pretty well.
You do know me well.
Actually, we're almost... Would you like to say any more about Klaus? I know we're kind of blowing through characters. There were just a lot to go. There's a lot to go through.
There's a lot of characters because we also have to talk about Reginald, I think, at some point.
Yes.
Since it's kind of in a way the show is all about him, even though he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But
as it typically is with narcissistic parents.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So no, I don't think I have anything more to say about Klaus.
Okay.
He's consistently one of the best characters, though.
In that case, Vanya.
Poor Vanya.
I just put in quotations, there's really nothing special about you. And I was like...
I know.
I was like, are you kidding me?
I know. Number 7, he even names Vanya as the 7th child, like last. And did you notice when he's giving his press conference, he says there are, extraordinary children in the world with extraordinary gifts, and he says, I've adopted 6 such children. He doesn't even include Vanya in, like, the number of...
I'm like, okay, but even I can tell she's clearly, like, a genius.
The thing that killed me the most when I first watched Umbrella Academy, the first season, not knowing anything about it, was the way that Elliot Page portrayed the character as so depressed throughout the whole, like, first season, and no one really talked to Vanya about it.
Yeah.
Made me so sad. I was like, can you not see this poor person is suffering?
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, which Vanya does, like, go through probably the best character arc in the show. Yeah.
And you know what? I love that for them.
I know. So, it's fortunately things improve, but in episode 1, you just feel so bad.
So, we can talk about your favorite character. 5.
Oh my word.
All I said was, what a little shit. I get why he's everyone's favorite.
I know, I'm not original. But he's so interesting, though, because he's like 58 or something like that. Stuck in the body of a 12-year-old.
Yes.
The kid who portrays him, I guess he's not a kid anymore, but the pilot episode he was. Aiden or Adrian or something like that. So talented.
It's a very talented actor.
Like, I fully believe that as an old man in the child's body.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going for a drive.
Sorry. He's like, and they're like, do you know how to drive? He's like, I know how to do everything. Or when he's like, I had to project my consciousness into, a state of being that exists across all instances of time. And Diego's like, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, well, what if you were smarter?
It's like, all right, rip.
Or there's
R.I.P. Diego.
There's a little scene at the end. I can't even remember what they're all afraid of. But, like, Klaus tries to protect 5 by, like, putting his hand in front of him, and 5 just slaps it away because he's like, I don't need protecting, I'm a grown man.
He's like, I'm an adult, get away from me.
I'm an adult.
That's actually, I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says, I'm an adult, get away from me. Can I throw out an honorable mention to Pogo?
Yes, please do.
Very lovely. I did write, Laurel, is this just space chimps again?
Pogo doesn't go to space. I don't have much more to say about Pogo.
But is it time to talk about he who shall be named and thoroughly, verbally eviscerated?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Sir Reginald.
Sir Reginald. What a piece of work.
First name, Reginald. Last name,
Absolutely. Did you notice the in the house there are these like posters on the wall, and they're like very child friendly posters showing you how to like punch someone, kick someone, gouge out their eyes, and they're at kid height level. That was such a little piece of world building.
It's just like, it's honestly, it's so, I understand this is a good show, but that, if you think about it that long, the whole concept is just sick. Like,
it's sick.
This man bought orphans and exploited them.
Yeah.
For money, and emotionally abused them and physically abused them their entire lives.
Absolutely.
Like, I was like, oh my god. I was like, he tattooed the 12-year-olds? How was that necessary?
Yeah, all of them except for Vanya.
Yeah, and then she drew her own tattoo on.
I know.
But all the others are like crying because they're 12 and getting a tattoo.
I know. Horrifying. Heartbreaking.
I did have a couple moments while watching this where I was like, I would love to be watching anything else right in this moment.
Yeah. Can I ask you what you think about the mom character? I was just curious.
Oh, wait, yeah.
Yeah, what did you think about that? I was just kind of curious what you...
Are you curious if I guessed it before?
Yeah, you guessed.
I guessed. I was like, she's a robot.
I can't quite remember when I watched it, but I don't think I guessed that. I think I was like, pretty sure.
I had a good feeling about it.
Yeah.
And I was very proud of myself then.
You're very literate.
Media literacy is not dead as long as I'm
as long as Maya's alive, it still exists. Everyone.
All right, Laurel, are you ready to talk about atmosphere? Because I feel you're going to have a lot of things to say about this one.
This show has atmosphere out the wazoo. All the symmetry in the shots, all the color and the lighting, the music. My word. That whole sequence when they introduced all the characters, and I liked that they introduced them all at the same time. At a moment of like drama.
Yes.
I thought that was
absolutely
brilliantly done. And the way that they matched like the different characters' moods to the different moods of the song, it was Phantom of the Opera. I looked it up. It's the version done by Lindsay Sterling, which is kind of interesting.
I won't lie. I actually knew that as soon as I started playing.
You're a nerd. Nerd. I love it. I was just like the way that like the quieter moments show Vanya, or like the more I think classical shows like Allison, and then like the chaotic ones show Klaus. It was just like beautiful. Yeah. I thought also the set design was very, to use one of your words, crunchy.
Very tangible.
Very tangible. I just wanted to like rustle around in the office with Klaus, go through all of his dad's things.
Ooh.
There's this one scene where they have a flashback in the dad's office, and he has this weird thing sitting on the paper that he's writing on, and I just kept staring at it. I was like, what is that? Where did they find the weirdest paperweight in the world? Like, anyway, just very, very crunchy design. Very pleasing to look at.
Very pleasant and nice.
Very nice. Well, I wouldn't know if pleasant is the word.
Pleasant to look at,
most of the
not
time, yeah.
to live in.
I mean, it is based on a graphic novel, so it makes sense that it's visually striking.
I was wondering, I thought I remembered hearing that, and watching the visuals, I kind of had the sense of, I was like, I really think this was a graphic novel.
It also checks out where you're like, oh, okay, so they have Pogo, who is like a chimpanzee butler who speaks.
Yes.
And, Luther has been living on the moon.
Yes.
Like, some of that stuff, the absurdist aspects of it kind of make more sense when you know it comes from a graphic novel.
Makes a lot more sense.
That being said, I read the first volume of the graphic novel series, and it wasn't very good, so...
You know it's
Hot
bad.
take over
You
here.
know it's bad when someone likes the TV show better than the book.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I'll say the TV show is much better than the book.
Very bold of you, Laurel. The fans are going to come for you.
Yeah, I'll let them.
The incels.
Yeah.
I didn't write a ton for atmosphere. I kind of just did my usual thing and wrote my feelings. And I said, immaculate vibes. I loved the dark academia.
Mhm.
I loved the early 2000s dark superhero inspiration. There's a lot of superhero films like that I never saw, like the original, like Daredevil, that was in the early 2000s. And
I saw it, you're fine.
what was the one? Watchmen.
Oh yeah, I never watched that one.
It kind of had, and I know that this was done a lot more recently, but I liked that there was kind of this very light homage to early 2000s superhero movies, specifically because a lot of them were also based on some other graphic novels and some other Marvel comic properties. But like specifically the masks with the white eyeballs behind them.
Those are cool.
I was like, okay, I've seen this before, and I like that it's being brought back around. And I also loved the steampunk elements.
Yeah, and there definitely is some of that going on as well.
I was like, somehow all of these very different, unique elements do flow really well together and are very like visually stimulating.
It's funny because I wouldn't have said steampunk, but
Specifically,
now that you say it, yeah.
Specifically Luther on the Moon.
Yeah, some of the the series of unfortunate events parallel you made before. I mean, yeah, I can see it now that you've said it.
Connecting
those dots.
Yeah.
Wait, can I throw a quick joke out?
Yeah, please.
Who watches The Watchmen? Not me. I never saw the movie.
You know what? That was really important.
Was that worth it?
I'm glad you said that.
I know. I thought that was really important to throw in there. What did you think of the fight scenes? Because there's the one in the coffee shop, and then there's the one at the bank with the kids.
I think the one in the coffee shop was the best because I just enjoy Five as you do. It makes sense to me. I get it. I freaking get it.
Yeah, I would say the show's a little violent for me at times, but I think that it makes the show because it is that sort of absurdist and using children, and you know, the fact that Five remains looking like a child while doing these truly horrific acts is just... It's interesting how it brings levity and additional dark elements at the same time. You're so right. Yeah. Because it's funny, but it's also like it hits home how these children were truly like misused.
If you think about it, it's terrible, but on an absurdist level, it's like entertaining.
Yeah, it's so true. That's actually kind of brilliant. Yeah, it somehow managed to do both. You're like, okay, so this is a horrible world that they live in, but it's also funny.
It's like, golly gee, ain't this fun to watch. Yeah, I want to watch this 12-year-old kill all these people. While
Istanbul, not Constantinople, plays in the background.
That was so good. I won't lie, that was really good.
I remember the first time I watched the pilot, I like lost my mind over that. I just thought it was so funny and horrifying at the same time.
I think a lot of people try to copy some of that energy in like future projects.
It's a tough energy to match.
Yeah.
They couldn't even match it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about the last season.
We don't have to talk about the last season. Would you like to talk about other?
Well, I think I actually don't really have much in other than like the dance scene, which I thought was cool.
Oh, I actually, Laurel, I won't lie, I had that there too.
You had it? Yeah.
I almost didn't say anything about it, but when they did the dollhouse style shot that
cool.
showed them all in the different rooms, I was like, that is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
That is art on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a level of creativity and technique that you have to do that, and it's just so good.
It's visually striking, and it's also like reinforces that these kids all feel well grown, because these siblings all feel very alone, but they are more together than they realize.
Yes.
Which is just like... Oh.
And I know how you feel about found family.
Found family when they are their own family also.
Okay, well, I just have one more thing that I want to talk about.
Yes, please. Please.
I just want to say that the color grading in this show is so good.
I was like, you better say something nice.
It's so good. The dark blues, the deep purples, the golds, like the jewel tones, because they could have done the washed out blue, they could have done like the gritty realism, but no, they went with this very rich color palette. Good job, Laura. Don't you
spill it this
don't
time.
you spill my expensive Sutter Home wine.
You're so right, and thank goodness they did go with like the jewel tones. Such a
It adds visual interest, and like I know we've talked about this so many times, and I know how you feel about color, and I think seeing it this way and like being able to get excited about it made me like remember about like, oh yeah, this is why it's great. This is why color grading can make such a difference.
It's so funny how you can just look at a screenshot from a show and like
know if you vibe with it or not.
Yeah,
I was watching this video recently talking about color grading, and it was talking about like how Hallmark movies are a lot of bright colors.
Okay.
But actually, for color theory to be effective on screen, it's actually all in the contrast.
Interesting.
So like pairing different layers of tones with that to create depth to the frame. But Hallmark movies are still just very flat and bright, so they can put a lot of bright colors on the screen, but it's still washed out and not visually interesting because they haven't like put the right contrast with it.
What? Color theory is crazy.
Color theory. Just being a nerd.
Being a nerd
Just
over
being
there.
a nerd.
You're on a nerd roll today.
That's what I'm here for.
That's so weird. I kind of put color theory with music theory in one of those boxes that's like basically magic to me because I don't understand it. Well, I like the colors on Umbrella Academy. I was like, Maya, better say something nice about it.
And I did.
I was holding my breath. I was like, do I have to punch her or not?
I said something very nice. In your current state, I feel like I could take you, even if you tried to punch me.
That's true.
So.
I'm a little tired today. That's okay. Yeah.
Would you like to, shall we say pass fail?
Yeah.
All right. Well.
3, 2, 1, pass.
Pass.
Come on. There was no tension there.
Yeah.
Think
I think even though, I'll say for my closing thoughts,
yeah.
there were a lot of things I really liked. I don't think with where I'm currently at, like, in life, it was one that I was like, okay, I'm going to watch every single episode of this show. I'm going to binge watch it. But I feel like I was able to look at it and go, okay, this is a solid piece of content. I get why this has fans. This makes complete sense to me. The fandom makes sense to me. All the pieces are here together.
Dangerous words you're speaking.
I said I liked it.
You did watch some more episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so...
I did. And that's more important to you.
It is more important to me.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. We would, as always, love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about this episode, about the Umbrella Academy. We're starting to think about season 3. We're potentially thinking about doing a season of reboots in which we would cover a lot of the up-and-coming Disney projects, which means we would cover the new Lilo and Stitch movie when it comes out. We'd go back and watch a lot of the other remakes. Pretty much if it has a remake or a reboot, possibly Jurassic World would be included. That's kind of what we're thinking. If you guys have opinions, if you have things that you'd like us to cover, we would, as always, love to hear about it. And we appreciate all of you for listening, for hanging out with us, and for giving us another great season as we're getting ready to wrap it up.
We'll probably run out of content because Hollywood hates reboots and they don't make them very often.
Oh, God, you're right. Thanks again, guys. And as always, keep it feral. Bye, gang.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Effing It Up. If you're enjoying these episodes, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at _effingitup_ or on our YouTube channel where we post the video format of our show. If you have content that you want us to cover, we want to hear about it. Feel free to DM us on Instagram or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. Thank you again.